welcome to How Do You Drew?
This is a Drew Barrymore podcast brought to you by thedrewseum.com.
And sponsored by our friends at Positive Medium.
I'm Anne.
And I'm Ashley.
And hello, welcome to episode 65.
Our Christmas episode, if you will.
Yes, Merry Christmas, y'all.
And final episode of 2023.
Yes, that's pretty exciting. Also weird that the year's over.
Crazy. Oh my God. I can't believe it. Yeah. So we are going to take a break. It could be 1 week. It could be 2. We'll let you know. Just
stay tuned. Watch our social medias. You know where to find the info.
Social medias. All your social media needs. At How Do You Drew Pod on Instagram. We'll tell you there.
Yes. Don't forget to check that out anyway, all the time, every day of your life.
You could also go check out our Patreon. We have a new member there. We want to give a shout out to Angela. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Angela. We are so excited. Our little community over on Patreon's growing a little bit at a time. So yes, go check us out there.
I had some ideas for what we were going to offer and we never talked about it. We'll get there. I promise, guys. I promise.
Yes. Yes. I feel like one thing we talked about that we can maybe tease here a little bit is like possibly movie watch throughs.
Yes.
It would be really funny to have done it for this one, but we'll get into why this movie's so entertaining. And let's talk about something really exciting in our follow-up section here. Well, is this a follow-up? Is this something just more than that?
We may make a new segment. We haven't come up with a good name yet. And we're hoping this happens frequently, but we have another comment from Drew on our Instagram at Drewseum.
So amazing. So amazing.
So I posted 4 of our really cool 4x6 photographs that we have in our collection of Drew at the Batman Forever premiere in 1995. Of course, she has that classic look with the 2 slips and the little daisy in her hair. And she commented last night to tell us a little bit more about it.
So crazy. So Drew Barrymore left this comment at Drewseum. I bought those slips at Fredericks of Hollywood and put one on top of the other and threw on a pair of platforms for my closet and went to the premiere. I wasn't at that place where anyone dressed me, so I dressed myself for about $50. And I love the carefree style to this day.
Yes, so do we.
So do we.
I mean, this is not an important, I'm not being like, Drew, you're wrong. This isn't one of those that I'm doing. But she told Courtney Love on film in 1995 that she got the slips at Playmates, which is like kind of like a stripper store in Hollywood.
Okay.
Just a quick way of putting it. So whether it was Fredericks or Playmates is not like that different. And also it was almost 30 years ago. So whether she had it wrong then or now, it doesn't really matter. Yeah. The general vibe is correct.
Absolutely. And we are so honored that
oh my God,
that she's like engaging with her content. Like, I mean, we're just so thrilled. So
the dream, we like manifested the shit out of that happening.
Yes, absolutely. And Drew, if you're somehow listening, hi, we love you.
Hi.
Hi. Can you imagine?
Hi. I love your movies.
Hi. Okay. So what kind of follow-ups do we have?
So I haven't watched this yet, but I saw a note about it and I just want to mention it. Apparently when Gary Oldman was on the Drew Barrymore show this week, she talked about her 2001 house fire.
Okay.
And this one just killed me. She said that one of the items that she lost in that fire was her childhood passport, which had all the stamps of everywhere she'd been. And since we were just talking last week about her 1982 when she traveled all over for ET, it made me think of that.
And I would die to see her passport.
Oh, I know.
Oh my
Brutal.
God.
I know. It made me really sad.
It's like, Drew, do you have any pictures of it? Like, she probably doesn't, because you wouldn't think you were going to lose that. That was like, that's part of her archive.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We have to make note of like that there was part of the feature collection that's missing because of a fire.
Oh, imagine having that item in the Drewseum one day. Oh, but it's gone forever. Oof.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Okay. That was upsetting. Sorry.
All right. Well, I just, I'm giving up now. But let's get to happier things.
Okay.
What did Drew proclaim her love for this past week?
I love love.
We got some good ones this week. She was on a roll.
Let's hear it.
All right. Drew loves slumber parties.
Ooh, like one we just had.
And also someone said that she was like they reminded her of a sleepover because of the laughing and dancing. We mentioned that last week.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, what else does she love?
Drew loves QVC. She also loves Five Below, the store. And she probably said that 4 times on the show last week because they kept giving money to Drew Gooders. I love Five Below.
What is Five Below?
It's like a dollar store, but kind of more aimed towards teenagers, maybe.
Oh, that's cool. All right. What else?
She also loves grilled fruit.
Ooh, I like a grilled pineapple.
Oh, okay.
And peach.
Yeah, they were talking about peaches. Blackberries. A good nut.
You're getting on board with that. I've always been a good nut person. Drew, you're a nut.
She is. She really is. Drew loves silicone.
Okay, me too, actually.
Popcorn. Yes.
I was just eating some last night and going, why don't I eat this every day?
Oh, all the time. I know. Okay. Drew loves highlighting cities. She loves Mr. T. When she said that, she's like, and I mean it. Like, I actually love Mr. T. Like, I knew him.
Did they show a picture?
Yes, they did.
Okay, good. Okay, what else?
She loves a 50-50, which is an ice cream treat, like half, I think it's like half slushy, half ice cream or something.
Does she like ice cream now?
Oh, I guess so.
Okay, what else?
She also loves a viewing party.
Okay.
And one more berry, raspberries. Yes.
Now I want some grilled fruit and then a side of blackberries and raspberries and popcorn.
Yeah, popcorn
at totally a slumber party while watching a movie.
Perfect. How about while watching this wonderful film, Babes in Toyland, we're going to get into?
I mean, here we are. Okay, so let's get into our You've Got Mail segment.
You've got mail.
So as we mentioned last episode, we're trying to catch up on some of the international reviews that people have left for us on Apple that you can't necessarily see in the US unless you kind of go sneakily about it. So this one comes from our amazing friend Tess.
Hi,
who is a longtime Drewby friend. If you heard her on our hairstyles episode, right? Number 57. Yep. You know that Tess is awesome. And here's just more proof of that.
Yeah. So the title is Essential for Drew Barrymore fans. First of all, great title.
Love it. That's exactly what we aim to be.
Yes. And Tess said, if you love the shiny, happy daisy that is Drew Barrymore, this podcast is for you. Drew archivists Ash and Ann from the Drewseum have an encyclopedic knowledge about all things Drew. Their true friendship shines through every episode, and they exude the kindness, friendliness, and all-around happiness that Drew puts out into the world.
Perfection. Thank you, Tess.
Yes, thank you. I feel like we need to put testimonials on our website now, and that's going to be one of them.
We already have that, Ann.
Do we?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm so glad that we have a testimonial section on the website to add this to.
And I think I already did.
Thank you so much, Tess. That is so kind, and we love you.
We do.
Okay, what do we have for this week in Drew history?
How about this one? December 22nd, 2007, Nancy Javonen and Jimmy Fallon got married.
Oh.
Yeah, so apparently they got married on Richard Branson's island. It's called Necker Island in the British Virgin Islands.
Okay.
I know. Here's a little story about it from Nancy. She said, we got this place for 3 days. So Jimmy goes, what if we got married in 3 weeks instead of next summer? And I'm like, this is the best idea of all human time. That's a very Drew-like thing to say.
Yeah.
So we had 12 people at our wedding. I just got a dress done as fast as I could. We didn't care. So it was very small, as I said. There was a photo that they gave to People magazine with the whole crew that was there. So obviously Drew was in attendance. Justin Long was her date. They were dating at the time. And Nancy's former assistant and longtime Flower Film staffer Gwen Stroman was also there. But no Chris Miller, which I find so surprising. Maybe he couldn't go. It is a really cool photo. Drew's wearing like some interesting long silvery dress I've never seen before. Would love to see more photos, but we just have the one. Also though, this crew, I think a couple of days before the wedding, they went to another island in the Virgin Islands called Guam. And they left like a really cool note, Nancy and Jimmy did, and then a photo of the four of them. So Jimmy, Nancy, Drew, and Justin. And I think like somebody vacation there and then took pictures of these and posted them on Flickr. I think that's how we saw them.
That makes sense.
They were like in the hotel or something.
How cute. Is there anything noteworthy we want to mention from the note?
Basically, yeah, it's kind of interesting. So I think Nancy wrote this and she said, we highly recommend the pre-breakfast wild boar hunt as well as shark jumping,
which we're sure will be taken off the event list by the next year. Godspeed to Jason and April's quick recovery.
I know. I'm like, is this a joke? And then something about a bat cave. I don't know.
Oh, this sounds awesome. I hope Drew was there for all that.
I think she probably was based on the photo. I love the photo of the four of them. I think it's so cute.
So sweet. That's the one I always think of. I kind of forget about the like entire
the wedding one.
picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cute. I love that Drew and Justin both have flowers in their hair. So does Nancy.
And Jimmy looks like he has one in his pocket.
Oh, yes, he does.
So we'll share these. They're really fun if you've never seen them.
This is cute, and I love this poll.
Yeah, I thought it was a unique
choice.
one.
Yeah, really cute. Okay, so it looks like there's nothing new with Drew.
Yeah, she went to the Madonna concert. She posted about that.
Yes, she did.
Okay, and that's that.
That's that.
She's always loved Madonna, though. I always feel like she's looked to her as like someone who was ever changing, and that was like an inspirational to Drew.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be kind of fun to see if like we could start tracking like when she's mentioned Madonna.
Oh yeah, remember that bizarre 1996 article? She mentions her like 3 times. If you guys want to see that, that's like way back in our episode, like 11 or something.
Good memory.
Yeah.
Howdy, Drewbies.
We want to tell you about our sponsor, Positive Medium. We've actually been clients of theirs for at least 10 years, and they take care of all of our website needs for thedrewseum.com.
They offer custom web design and professional coding, search engine optimization, marketing, and hosting. So we've been hosted by them, but we've also been able to take advantage of a lot of their expertise in these other areas as well.
Absolutely. So customer service is the biggest draw for us with this company. They have saved our site literally from obliteration quite a few times. But then they also help us with minor issues in just like literally a matter of minutes. So if we have like a coding question or just like something on the back end we can't figure out, we reach out to them and we get an answer back and the issue is solved within moments.
We're so excited that Positive Medium is allowing us to offer our listeners 25% off managed WordPress hosting plans using our promo code DREW, DREW, of course. And if you want to take advantage of this, visit positivemedium.com. We really, really vouch for these people. They've been so great to us and will continue to be great to us. I can only imagine.
I mean, they're great by offering this to our listeners. So take advantage. Again, it's promo code DREW, of course.
Are you ready to just dive into this gem of a film? 1986's TV movie Babes in Toyland.
Let's let Drew and her co-star Keanu Reeves introduce it for us.
Obscure masterpiece, Babes in Toyland.
Sometimes obscurity's good.
Well said, guys. Well said. So, okay, I just want to say, I know there are people who have like a weird love nostalgia for this movie. I did not watch this growing up, so I cannot relate. I think maybe if you have those kind of rose-colored glasses on it, maybe you view it differently. I think this is a horrible movie, but horrible in a mildly entertaining way. Like, it's kind of fun to hate watch.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Like when we turned it on, we were talking about, Jared and I were talking about doing like Mystery Science Theater treatment.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, it's totally perfect for that.
I am going to say most of my notes are not the nicest or the most positive, and usually I'm a positive person. But as I was watching it, I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah, we're going to be laughing through this whole episode, though.
Yeah.
There's joy that comes out of it.
There is. Another thing I want to note, though, if you do want to have some like fun Drew Christmas, maybe like something that's actually enjoyable and delightful and funny and cute and sweet, go watch all of the other reindeer. It's much better. And then you can listen to our episode from last Christmas about that one.
Good call. So that's a good way to steer people in the direction of more cute Drew. Drew is cute in this in a really interesting way. Yeah, let's before we jump into Drew's, cuteness, let's read the IMDb summary for this film.
Okay. So a young girl wakes up in the realm of Toyland. Like wakes up, it's kind of random. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Where she teams up with her family and friends to overthrow the evil villain Barnaby.
I don't think it says enough about the surrealism or the fact that it's a Wizard of Oz ripoff. Let's move on. Before we get to the pre-production, I think it's important to notice that the original, it's based on an operetta composed by Victor Herbert in 1903, and it's been filmed several times over different decades. I've only seen this one.
I think I watched the one with like the Disney one as a kid.
There's like a Laurel and Hardy one, I think.
Yeah, there's a Disney one with Annette Funicello. I think I watched that once as a kid, and I feel like I liked it, but I don't have really any other memory about it.
I wonder if before Drew did this, if she'd watched any.
Yeah, probably. So it was directed by Clive Donner and written by Paul Zindel and Glenn McDonough. And maybe one of those guys is from Cincinnati, because boy, is there a lot of love for that city in this movie.
Yes.
A weird amount. We'll get into that.
There sure is. The movie stars Keanu Reeves in an early role here. Richard Mulligan. Is he the bad guy?
Yeah. And he was on that show Empty Nest. I don't know if you remember that as a kid, but my babysitter used to watch it.
I know the name. So he plays the Mr. Barnaby. Just Barnaby.
Barnaby Barnacle.
Oh, that's right.
God.
And then we have Eileen Brennan, who was from Clue, which was your favorite 80s movie mentioned in the end of our previous episode.
Yeah. And this probably would have been like the year after Clue was filmed, probably.
Yes. And then Googie Gress, who was apparently in Wayne's World 2, and He's Just Not That Into You. Did they have scenes together in either film?
I had no idea that he was in those movies until I was doing research.
Okay. So funny.
He's sort of like Keanu's sidekick in this movie, I guess. And he's the butt of, feels like, a lot of 80s fat jokes.
Oh, absolutely. I think he's supposed to be like a gingerbread man or something.
He's Georgie Porgy.
Oh, who is Georgie Porgy?
Pudding and Pie kissed the girls and made them cry. Lovely.
Aw, Georgie Porgy. And then we have Pat Morita is also in this as the toy master, and he was in Karate Kid 2 years prior to this film. So
what a downgrade. Also, Jill Scholen plays Drew's sister, and I heard her recently on a podcast called $2 Late Fee. She was so delightful. It was definitely jarring to hear her voice now, because she's like probably in her 60s.
Oh, weird.
And I was like, this is like older lady. This is so weird.
Yeah.
I listened to it just hoping to glean some cool details for this. She didn't really give much, but she did say that they first went to England to do costume fittings before they went on to Germany to film.
Interesting.
Yeah. And we knew this was filmed in Germany. So Drew talks about this actually in both her books, which is pretty surprising because it is that obscure masterpiece, as she said.
Absolutely.
So yeah, in Little Girl Lost, Drew talks about how she went to Munich, Germany to film this. And it was like a good change of scenery for her and Jade because they were clashing a lot. And then, of course, for some reason, Drew just had a ton of independence when she was here.
Of course.
And one thing she mentioned was that she was really like accepted by the crew, the cast, and felt like she wasn't an outsider the way she'd been feeling at school when she filmed this.
Yep.
Which makes me sad.
I got to make one note is that it actually says, I demanded more independence from my mother. So I think we were talking about like her demands in a previous episode.
Yeah, we were talking about how Amy Fisher she might have pulled from her actual real life with Jade.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, we've mentioned this before, and for some reason we get a lot of hits to the drewseum.com by people searching Drew Barrymore, Rod Stewart.
Oh, yeah.
And so this is the story. So Rod Stewart's crew was in town for a concert, and Drew got invited to like go hang out on the tour bus and backstage. And then she like partied with the whole band, like literally partied. So Drew's 11, just to put things in perspective here.
Yep. Oh yeah. And she says, we got crazy drunk, the whole lot of us. And someone took a video of everyone stumbling around the room, falling off the beds, drowning tiny bottles of liquor from the minibar. I need that video.
Yeah.
I know she's 11 and we'd be disturbed by it, but
but can you imagine?
For the archive.
Yeah. And we will talk a little bit more. I'll skip over to Wildflower. She also talks about this incident in a chapter called Germany. And she talks about how, so while they were having this like kind of partying, they were in this hotel and they went around and stole like people's dry cleaning or hanging laundry bags. And they started throwing all these clothes off of balconies at the hotel.
Oh my God.
And Drew started feeling really guilty about it and like stood back and kind of watched. And she was like, oh my God, what have I done here? And she says that this haunts her to this day. And she thinks that she has a karma for it because she loses clothes all the time.
I'm telling you that I cannot keep clothes, and I am convinced it is my karma from that night in Munich. And you know what? I say to myself, okay, you probably deserve it. I really am so sorry and remorseful. And I am positive that what I'm wearing right now will probably be gone by the time anyone ever hears this.
Whoa.
Yes, so that happened. And then also Rod Stewart then invited Drew to move on with them to Vienna. And it was over a weekend. And she was like, they were like the circus. I'm going to run away with them. And then Jade changed her mind and said she couldn't go. And it said it caused Drew to erupt in a volcanic temper tantrum that lasted for several days.
Oh my God. Is that in Wildflower or in
No, that one's in Little Girl Lost. Because she said it was like, that was the fun. And she saw it rolling away, leaving her behind in a cloud of dust.
Oh my God.
But yeah, so one of the more interesting things about this movie, more interesting than the movie itself, is just knowing like what was going on with
in
Drew
her life
personally. That she's like hanging out, having like smoking pot, drinking, and partying with people. Apparently, and I had totally blocked this out, she had a boyfriend who was 15 who was working on the movie.
Yeah.
What? She's 11. She's 11.
11.
Oh my God. And it said that they were seriously making out and word was getting around set. And so Jade had to have a sex talk with her. Oh, I'm so upset by this.
11.
Oh my God.
Thankfully, the kid wasn't older.
I know. It's like, oh, he was only 15, I guess. No. And then I'm like, who is this guy? There's so many extras. And like, he could just be a weird guy in a teddy bear suit for all we know.
Oh my God. There's so many people in suits. We'll get into that. But I think it's funny that in the movie, the people in the suits are sometimes featured on the screen alone. It's like they just show the teddy bear like moving its head. So moving on kind of to a little bit more about the production, I was wondering about this. So Drew's singing voice was supposedly dubbed by Linda Harmon. Is that somebody notable or that's just...
I think she just does a lot of this kind of stuff.
Okay.
You can tell later on in the movie, we'll point it out again, but like clearly she's a woman, like an adult.
Yes.
Not a child.
Totally. And this is such a cool thing about this film that's so strange, despite how conveniently obscure this film is. We have lots and lots of behind the scenes photos from it, which is really fun to see because it's such a time in Drew's life. Like she was about to like not be in the public eye as much.
Yeah.
So
wow,
it's like,
good point.
And she's still, even though she's a kid, she's 11 years old. She claims she's not a kid throughout this whole film.
She's not a child, yeah.
Which it feels actually very like true to her life to be like trying to escape that childhood thing.
Yeah, it's crazy, especially when you know what she was doing behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we're lucky. We'll share some of these photos. There's a lot of really cool ones. It's strange, like way more than some of the more big time movies.
Yeah, who knows why? I mean, it must just be because like nobody cared about keeping it private. I don't know. It's like, I don't know. It's so strange, but it's so cool because like I said, it's a unique thing. And it's not something I really think about digging into and being appreciative of.
Yeah.
I also just had to point out that I have a really cool pair of lobby cards, but only I think 2 or 3 of them feature Drew and the rest are like weird, like either the creatures or some other stuff. So
strange
that with the release,
like in every scene.
I know. So it's like, why are more than half of the lobby cards in that set not featuring Drew? It's just really funny.
I come from Cincinnati, the best town in O.
Okay, so let's get into the movie.
Okay, we're gonna go through our notes. Like I said, just a little disclaimer: mine aren't all very nice, but we're gonna have fun with it.
And in the other disclaimers, we just point out whatever we want to talk about. We're not going to go through the whole plot line by line. We're just talking about scenes we either thought were funny or interesting or other.
Yeah. My first note was that Drew, it starts off in Drew's reading a cookbook, and it's that plaid Better Homes and Gardens cookbook.
Classic.
And I know my mom had that. Like I recognized it immediately.
Yep.
And then I was laughing, like, I wonder if Drew has this in her cookbook collection now.
She has to. It's so classic. I think my mom has 2 because we have one
amazing.
that I grew up with, and then like one came from my grandmother. Because that book, it's like every year they would re-release it. It's like,
oh, really? I
think so. It's like one of those cookbooks that like has like many versions and is like, I'm sure it still exists. It's got it. It's
amazing.
I thought it was funny that it looked like she was just like browsing the cookbook, which I guess is what you do.
That's literally what she does now. That's like her favorite thing to do. So cool.
So cool.
What do you think about her costume choice? So she wears the same thing the entire movie, except I guess in one point she has a jacket over it, but it's very like plain and not so cute. So she's just got a red t-shirt on and this weird like denim sort of jumper over it, a dress. Yeah. So my first thought was like, is this supposed to be evocative of Dorothy? Because there are so many Wizard of Oz ripoffs, shamelessly pulling plot points.
Yes.
And I'm like, is this like intentional? Because it's sort of got that like aprony dress look.
Okay, I have a couple thoughts. I think, yes, it's supposed to be evocative of Dorothy because that dress that Dorothy wears kind of has like an aprony top to it, even though it's like gingham, like blue gingham. Jared said Drew looked like Mario, like Super Mario.
Amazing.
And also mentioned the Dorothy thing. And I think she kind of looks like a toy a little bit because like it's like simple clothing, like, you know, solid color. I just had that thought right now, but I feel like it works.
Okay.
Even though it's like, oh, I'd love to see her in different outfits. Like literally the whole movie is supposed to take place within a couple of hours of her life.
Which makes sense. And then she's got like this horrible, like white slouchy socks and white ugly tennis shoes.
Her shoes, her like,
so
her legs, like her whole sock and shoe area looks so chunky. It's kind of funny.
80s.
Yeah. And one thing I noticed in the intro, she and her sister are talking to each other and Drew like says, "You're a rat." To her, like it's like seems like it's a playful kind of thing, but
yeah,
I was like,
cute
did
together.
She just call her a rat? And then she says it again.
Yep. I think they do have a sweet little connection. I'm sure Drew was like loving having a big sister feeling.
Absolutely. I also, just to kind of go back to Little Girl Lost a little bit, like she does say, I think you mentioned it, like there was like a welcoming, loving.
Yeah,
you can feel that. Like there's the part when she's like face to face with that actor Googie Gress. I was like, oh, there's so much like tenderness there.
Yeah,
like,
it
true
is
tenderness. So anyway, I loved that. And then I just have to go back to her cooking. So she talks about that she's going to like cook dinner.
Of course, because she's 11 and in charge of the family.
And there's like a crazy storm that's about to happen. She's watching the weather report and she's like stirring some like, I don't know what she's stirring, but she's like, it looks like the fork is like floating above the bowl and she's like pretending to stir. I'm like, couldn't she have like actually stirred? I don't know. It looked really funny, but she, of course, she's supposed to be like shocked by the impending storm. So yes. So, okay. So what else do you have?
Okay. So she runs to the toy store where her sister works to let her know because the phones are out and I guess she has to tell everybody there's a blizzard coming.
Yep.
So then we get Keanu, who also works there. He's so cute in this, like so handsome and dreamy, but his acting, oh boy.
I mean, I love Keanu Reeves.
Me too.
I think the acting is like, it feels like him.
It feels like the perfect, like, if you were to make fun of Keanu Reeves acting, this is what it would be.
Exactly.
I love this line.
My Jeep's got 4-wheel drive. I'll take you both home.
Except, spoiler alert, not fine.
Also, not a Jeep.
Yeah. Is it not?
It's not a Jeep.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Not branded Jeep. So it's one of those things where it's like tissue,
the generic
Kleenex.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, I'm sure someone who's listening is like, yeah, I clocked that.
Yeah, but look at you coming through with the car info always.
I mean,
that will never be me. So good job.
I had a little help there.
How do you feel about this really cool casual sexual harassment by the toy store owner to her sister? Disgusting. Like some of the things that he says in this, like this is a children's movie. What are we doing? What are we doing here? It's real gross.
It is.
And Drew stands up to defend her sister and she has that classic little smirk that she would sometimes have in movies.
Yes.
You know the one I'm talking about where she looks like she's about to start laughing.
Absolutely.
Don't you talk to Mary like that.
I like that after that, boss is like,
what the heck is that?
Yeah.
And then the boss and the sister, they start like loudly fighting in the middle of the toy store.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, okay.
But I did appreciate that the sister was like calling him out for his disgusting remarks.
Totally. Like,
and this carries over when we get ahead to Toyland, this carries over where this older man is just making these really inappropriate remarks about the sister who's like 20.
Yes. Older man. And it's actually the same person. We'll talk about how this is another Wizard of Oz similarity. I love when Drew makes an announcement on the toy store thing and like warning people about the impending storm.
Excuse me, everybody. I just heard on TV there's going to be a major snowstorm hitting Cincinnati any minute. It's Christmas Eve and you should all go home while you still can.
And then they all panic and like run. It's so unrealistic.
It's like
oh
free teddy bears for any purchase over $75, like trying to get people to stay. It's so silly.
All right, so they get in the car, which is not a Jeep apparently. And did you notice, like, before they start singing, Drew's like staring into space and looks like she's gonna puke for no reason? It's so random.
Yes, she just looks like very serious and like
she's nauseous or something. I don't know what was going on. Maybe she drank too much the night before.
Oh no, I have a feeling the car is supposed to be really bumpy, so I feel like maybe she's supposed to look uncomfortable.
But then she snaps out of it.
Yeah,
it's weird.
It's because they start singing the song.
Oh God, the song. Probably one of the most known parts of this movie is this weird ass song about Cincinnati, where they live and how wonderful it is.
Cincinnati, the best town in Ohio, USA.
At first they called it Cincy, but since Cincy is so natty, they named it Cincinnati.
But the song seems to like fix a lot of things. Spoiler alert. Although
it's a magical song.
Yeah, but like they're driving on these rough roads. It's really funny. The scenes on the inside, the car is like clearly on a set being shaken around. It's super funny. And then I wrote a note, does she die? It's kind of a joke because she like falls out of the car, right?
She flies out of the car on her sled.
Oh, that's right.
It goes right into a tree and the whole thing goes black as if she died. Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess we were making a parallel to Wizard of Oz, but we should also make a parallel to 50 First Dates.
Oh, I like it. Yeah. Good one. Good one.
It wasn't a cow, it was a tree. And she's fine, but she does have some like delirium. So let's go to Toyland.
Okay, so she's floating through the sky on her sled.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, literally flying down from the clouds.
Yeah.
And she's flying over Toyland, which it's kind of amazing. They built this actual set in Germany. So the whole thing is like a practical set, sort of like
still
a
there?
backlot. Oh my God, imagine if like on Google Earth, you could find the remnants of the like cookie factory.
Oh my God, someone let us know.
Okay, so there's all these weird, creepy people in animal suits. I hate it. Like, it's all like heads that don't have any like, movement on them. The faces are just blank. There's like all kinds of weird animals, which I don't really understand. It's Toyland. I don't get it. There's a Raggedy Ann. Did you catch her?
I don't think I did.
She's so scary. Oh God, she's real bad. She's really scary. And she meets our quote unquote chubby buddy.
Yep.
Georgie Porgy, and he gives her a cookie that was just hanging out inside his hat on his sweaty head, and she eats it. Okay.
No questions asked. But we know, Drew personally, she kisses her star. She may or may not have kissed Lionel's marking at the cemetery. So she likes to put things in her mouth that have been in questionable places. So yeah, in this whole surreal portion, which feels very Wizard of Oz because she's just had this accident and now she's suddenly in this like land.
And in the land, there's people that look like people in her normal life that she doesn't make note of that they're the same people.
Yeah, they're literally the same people. It also has like a Alice in Wonderland vibe to it.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Even one of the guys says, "Who are you?"
Weird. I didn't catch that. That's amazing.
Yeah, pretty amazing. And then Drew says,
"Boy, for a town, it looks like so much fun. This is pretty strange stuff."
And she's like skipping in a circle. It's so awkward. Okay, so there's a wedding happening. So Mary and Jack, no, I'm sorry. She's not marrying Jack. They're together. They're in love, but she's going to marry the villain, Barnaby, because her shitty mom is making her marry this gross older villain guy because otherwise they're going to lose their house.
She's going to lose her shoe.
Oh yeah, she's the old woman who lives in a shoe. Thank you. Let's be clear. And I love her character, Drew's character is called Lisa. I feel like we're gonna say Drew the whole time, but
yes,
she calls this woman out for being a shitty mom.
And Mrs. Hubbard, you should be ashamed forcing your poor daughter to go live in a bowling ball just to pay your mortgage.
Right away, basically in the movie, the music is pretty hilarious, but it gets even more hilarious when they're in Toyland.
It's bad. 80s bad.
I don't think it's bad. I think it's actually pretty good. Yeah, I think it's good. Like, it's like well done music. And I think it works for the weirdness of the film.
Okay.
Because movies, cheesy music's
Let's put it this way. The 80s had a really low standard for entertainment. They just did. Like, there's amazing movies that came out of the 80s. I'm not saying overall. But like, there are some really bad things that just were like, yeah, this is good enough. Let's do it.
Yep.
Since we're talking about music, Drew's character stops the wedding somehow. It doesn't really make sense to me how her like interjecting stops everything, but it does. I love that she says right before she stops it, she says,
"But Mary's so young and pretty. She cannot possibly marry a hideous creature like that."
So weird.
That's the only explanation.
The dialogue is so weird. Yeah, right. Not that he's a creep.
Yeah, not that he's a creep and evil. Like it's just about how pretty and
ugly.
Yeah. Oh God.
So they all do this big weird ass song celebrating her, which is again very Wizard of Oz after Dorothy kills the witch. And I just was laughing at like one of the lyrics I heard.
Let's hear it for the folks who love freedom. We need them every day.
What?
Are they talking about Americans?
I know. I don't know. And then Drew does like a really impressive round off. Like, if you don't know what that is, it's like a cartwheel that you land on both feet. Impressive. Every once in a while, she'll like pull some sort of acrobatic or dance move out where I'm like, what? Like, you can do the splits. You can, like, she can do a lot of things that she doesn't act like she can do.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just going to say this, probably say it a bunch of times because apparently I'm shallow. Drew is so cute in this.
She is really cute. And I kind of noticed, I don't know if I like was imagining this, and I doubt they filmed it in chronological order, but I noticed like towards the end, she looks older. Like,
I agree.
Did you notice that too? Like her face is kind of thinned out and like she just looks a little bit older.
Well, how long did they film this? It was like a few months?
A few months, yeah.
So she might have been going through some stuff. And plus when you're 11,
like you're changing a lot.
You're changing a lot. So she probably genuinely is. Like, I feel like I kept thinking about Drew as a person, you know, during this. So I'm like, oh, that like not just her growing, but also like she's experiencing like a different country for the first time. It sounds like she was dating a 15-year-old. She sounds like, you know, was partying while she was there. So there was some stuff happening in her life that might have impacted how mature she looked.
Here's a positive note. I do like the cookie factory set. I think it's really cute.
It is cute.
It's confusing at first what the plan is. I figured out later, but so the bad guy and his like goons, who I can't stand,
that look like Nosferatu.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, good call. They're throwing all these boxes of cookies into a cellar door. I had to put it that way. And they're like, of course, doing it as slowly as possible by being all like comical about it.
But also, they like set up a ramp of a table and then start like sliding them into there.
They're like hitting them with baseball bats.
The one other thing I thought was really funny, and I was like called it as I was watching it, even though I didn't remember this. One of the goons is like putting a cake carefully into a box and then throws the box.
Yes, so dumb.
But it feels very like appropriate. Like that feels like 80s comedy. Yeah.
80s comedy, quote unquote comedy.
Yeah.
Okay, so then Drew's meeting her mom in this world, who's the old lady who lives in a shoe. Mm-hmm. She's introducing all her kids. And I was just cracking up because she's like introducing all these nursery rhyme characters, which is kind of fun. Yeah. And then she like has like 5 more and she goes, I forget who this one is. And then she never introduces the rest. So I'm like, I guess they ran out of ideas.
But we're also maybe supposed to believe that she doesn't really care about them.
Yeah, she is. She does play this like absent-mindedness really well. She's pretty hilarious in it.
Yes.
And then I had to listen to this part 3 times in a row. Drew kind of flubbed a line.
Mrs. Hubbard, I think the same as your toy master. When 2 young people love each other, they should be allowed to be together.
So again, it's like, did they really like take their time and refilm things? And they were just like, this is good enough.
Yeah. I thought it was a typo in your notes, which is really funny. It's how you explained it. Around this time in the film, she's trying to convince this woman who is her mom in the other alternate universe. She says,
and a mature man of the world like Mr. Barnaby should be free to marry a more elegant, glamorous woman of the world such as yourself.
She's like, okay, if this weird lady's going to marry off her daughter, maybe I can make her be interested in him instead. Oh my God. Like, how about just nobody goes with this creep?
Absolutely. I think that's when she says she's going to sell her children.
Yeah.
At that point. Yes.
Lovely. All right. So they get into these little cars, which are really quite cute.
They're very cute.
Yeah. At first I was like, oh, the flower on them, like the way it's stenciled kind of reminded me of the old Flower Films logo.
Yeah.
When I saw them side by side, I was like, not really, but I still liked it.
The way it does is that the petals are kind of detached. It's like
Yes.
very stylized daisy, not a realistic daisy.
Yeah.
I know, so cute. I love how the cars sound when they're moving. Also, I love how much they show them riding around in these cars. It's so cute.
Especially because the set is actually quite small. Like you wouldn't need a car to go anywhere. It's like 2 blocks. And we'll get into that later on.
Yes.
At first I was so confused because I'm like, the bad guy's talking about how the millions of missing cookies. And like, I was like, who are the customers? Like, are they sending these to the real world? But then I guess it's just the creepy teddy bears in town that eat them. Millions?
Well, they said something about like, well, how are we going to feed the teddy bears? So ridiculous.
As if those mouths on those teddy bears open. Give me a break.
Yes. There's a point when Drew encounters the bad guys, and I don't really know what's happening, but in the cookie factory.
You again, Cincy Watsky, out the door! Or into the flour grinder. Which shall it be?
I think maybe out the door sounds better.
It's so great.
Oh man. Okay, then they go visit the toy master, this mysterious man. And they go into his little workshop, which I found was like kind of underwhelming personally. But anyway.
I thought it was pretty cool, actually.
Okay. You like all those little, what are those called? Those spinny things.
I don't know. Was it kind of like a mobile, or was it like something that's standing up?
No, there's a name for them. It's like actually a Christmas thing. And there's one in Christmas Vacation. Cousin Eddie like touches it and all the little like pieces fall apart.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, there's a lot of those in there. But did you notice that there's like these 2 elves in there who don't move their mouths, but there's like overdubbed dialogue for them, but they're not speaking. It's so weird.
Didn't notice. There are like, one thing I did notice since you're mentioning like the sound, I feel like all the audio seems like it was like re-recorded later.
Yeah.
Like it seems ADR'd.
Yeah. And you know, what's interesting is that when the actress Jill was on that podcast, this wasn't Drew relevant, so I didn't note it, but she says that when they did one of the songs, like recorded it, like she wasn't really prepared, and they were like, don't worry, we're gonna like re-record it in a studio later, and then they didn't.
Oh no.
She was like mortified with the take.
Oh no.
Yeah.
They were like, it's too much work.
Yeah. Good enough. Drew, like randomly, she's like, what's in that behind that door? Even though like, why would you say that?
Yeah.
And there's all these creepy toy soldiers who have like frozen faces. Mm-hmm. And the toy master says something about them being wonderful. And Drew's like,
oh, you're right. They are wonderful.
Really?
I love when the toy master says to Drew that the wooden toys just aren't popular anymore. And she like makes a little serious kind of sad face.
Oh. And so basically the bad guys like framed Jack for all these missing cookies, and the way that things work in this town is very confusing. So the judge guy, I don't know what he is, he like has him arrested, and they go break him out of jail. And then they put the judge in the jail cell so they can run away.
Yes. And then after that happens, Drew says to the judge,
I'm locked in.
I'm sorry, sir, but that's the way the cookie kingdom crumbles. Haha, little joke. Bye.
The way she does, ha.
Okay, what happens next?
Okay, I don't remember how, but somehow Jack gets captured by the bad guys.
I do remember how. They open a trap door in the cookie shop.
That's right.
They're trying to figure out who stole the cookies.
They found out that of course the chubby guy found some cookies on the ground. So they're like, this is evidence. I'm like, well, cookies on the ground in the cookie factory makes sense to me, but okay.
Yeah. And they're like, where did you find them? Because that might help us. I love that whole part, because then they're like trying to find where the cookies were.
It's so bad.
Yeah, it's I was gonna say it's so good.
So bad it's good. And then the goons. So again, like, what'd you say? They look like Nosferatu?
Yeah.
The way that they are acting in the like slapstick, again, quote unquote comedy, it reminds me so much of what I was just talking about in Con Sawyer.
Yeah.
Where there's like the dumb little minions. They're always dumb and they're always like blah, 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 slapsticky. And it's like was such a thing in the 80s. I don't understand it. Like, how is that funny? It was such a like trope. It's just cracks me up.
Yeah, that they would be like a sidekick.
Yeah, always. Like the bad guy always picks these like two dumbasses to do all his things for him.
And you can just imagine them like bumping heads.
Yes,
you know, like
bonk.
that kind of
Like literally bonk. I'll just say it now because later on, I don't feel like in the beginning this is there, but later on, all these cartoony sound effects happen every time that they're on. Because they are just like hitting trees and things are bumping in them. Oh my God. All right.
And they're unnecessarily driving cars around.
I fast forwarded through the villain's song because like we only have so much time, guys.
Absolutely. You noted how useless the Toy Master seems because they're kind of like, can't you help in any way? Like, there's all this stuff happening.
They keep going to him. He's supposed to be powerful and stuff. And he's just like, I can't really do anything.
Yes, but he's like got this calm demeanor that's kind of like, oh.
Yeah, at one point, I think Drew even says like, he's not gonna be able to help us. He's a pacifist or something weird like that.
Does she?
Yeah, it's weird.
Oh my God. I loved my favorite line in that kind of part is Drew says to him,
well, for instance, don't you have the power to turn Barnaby into a wind-up pussycat or something? I mean, I don't think you realize how evil he is.
He probably could. He does have a jar of all the evil that he's collected in the world. What?
Oh God.
It's such a weird plot point.
Yeah.
They go to rescue Jack. Drew says for like the 50th time that she's not a child.
Put your hair on that child.
I'm not a child.
She says that so many times in this. It's a theme for sure.
Yeah, and you said you were kind of thinking about real life Drew every time she said it, which is like definitely an interesting layer.
Yeah, there's something at the end that feels very like I'm like it's almost heart-wrenching that I was like just thinking they're talking to Drew, not to Lisa.
Yeah.
She says something to Barnaby. I don't even remember what actually is happening at this point.
I will be master of Toyland.
You're the monster of Toyland, Barnaby. How could you ever wish evil on the most wonderful place that ever existed? You're insane.
Well, she has like a whole little speech.
Which is like a little bit like, not really, but like Olive.
Oh, my favorite.
Actually, Lisa does have a little bit of Olive in her.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then like, oh yeah, so that's probably when the bad guys like tie them up in the Toy Master's workshop, tie them up, like barely put a rope around them. It's so silly.
Yeah, not the most effective tying.
No. And then there's this creepy, gross little bird thing during the whole movie that's like Barnaby's other pet, I guess. They call him Trollog, and he's so creepy and gross. I hate it.
He's really creepy and gross, but when he like starts to peck at Drew's character, and then that's what gets her like released. It's really funny because it's like he's supposed to be like a bad guy, but he literally pokes off the rope.
And then the Toy Master paints over his eye, and I was laughing because that's what he does earlier for the elves. They're like, Toy Master, help with this toy, and he like paints eyes. I'm like, that's all he can do.
That's his only role, and guide people to he's like, he seems like he's a little bit like a fairy godmother a little bit for Drew.
Yeah.
I hadn't really thought about that before, but it's just like he's got like this army of he's got like the tools, but not the know-how. I don't know.
Something like that. He's like, it can only take you so far.
Yes. Let's talk about that jar of evil.
Oh my God. Right. So the whole gang ends up in the lair because they all fall through different trapdoors that all lead to one place in the bowling ball. And then, here comes that jar of evil air. So the villain like spreads it out and they all start turning into trolls/monsters.
Yep.
Keanu is like making me laugh so hard in this part. And then our solution that Drew comes up with, miraculously, just sing the Cincinnati song, everybody, and you'll not be monsters anymore. And they all know the words, even though they're not technically the same people that were singing it in the real world.
Oh, yeah, good point.
But I don't understand the like propaganda for the city. As we mentioned before, maybe one of the writers is from there.
I don't know, but one of my favorite things about that part is Lisa is not impacted by, like, she's not turning.
Nothing Nothing's happening to me. I guess I'm immune because I'm from Cincinnati. Yes.
And it's funny because I was like, wait, is she supposed to be acting the same way as they are? Like, I honestly thought that it was like bad acting for a second. Yeah. And then it was like, I even wrote in my notes, like, seemingly not impacted by the green fog.
Oh, because she's from Cincinnati, duh.
Yeah, of course that makes you immune.
And you can definitely tell when she starts singing that it's a woman. It's not Drew in any shape or form.
Yeah. And then the last line of that part was,
I told you Cincinnati was a great place.
Yeah, it's funny. Before it started, I was like, oh God, I hate the part when they're all fake that they're monsters to get out.
Oh, it's
like,
hilarious.
oh God, I was like, cringe. And then when it started, I was like, wait, this is actually funny. Like, I remembered it being like secondhand embarrassment, but I was cracking up at Drew.
My God. And then we get another great line.
Master, 3 roars for our wonderful master.
And then did you notice when they come out of the little cell that Drew looks at one of the bad guys and does a cat hiss?
Yeah.
And it was like,
that's so Drew.
Exactly how she does it now. I can't think of like an example, but she definitely does it a lot.
Oh yeah. She like does it on her show and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, absolutely. I was like,
it was amazing.
Oh, it's perfect.
Never change, Drew.
Yeah, please never change.
So then there's like this super drawn out escape from this underground layer. Oh my God, it just felt like it was going on forever. I don't know if you had that feeling too, but I was impressed with the set. I was like, wow, they really built this whole thing.
Yeah.
But I was laughing. So there's a part where Keanu and Drew get on a rope swing to get across like a...
Oh, yes.
What would you call that? To get from one cliff to the other or whatever.
Yeah.
But it just cracked me up. It was reminding me of how when he came on her show, she told a story about on her 16th birthday, he like walked into the club and took her on a motorcycle ride randomly.
Yes.
And then her little sounds that she made, I was just cracking up thinking of 16-year-old her and him on a motorcycle.
I had a similar thought because I was thinking not like necessarily about that part, but I was thinking about like, oh, like 5 years later.
Yeah.
She rode on a motorcycle.
Very different ride.
Yes.
Ready?
Whoa! Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah, and then we have the car chase.
Oh yeah, so which we've been teasing a little bit, the big climax. The car chase where they literally just drive in a big circle.
I was like, is this a bumper car?
It kind of was bumper cars. I totally had the same thought.
But then I was like, this is kind of funny. Like, I was just trying to think that are they going fast? Are they going really slow? It's like pretty slow. I wrote in my notes they seem kind of dangerous, but it's only because like if they actually hit each other.
There is one part where 2 of them hit each other, and I was a little like, ooh.
Yeah, and there's another great line. Drew says to them, like, while they're chasing around, I swear she says Yicko.
I think you're right. And honestly, like the dialogue in this is so odd. Some of it is so formal. There's a lot of you must, we must.
Yeah.
And yeah, then there's the weird stuff like that where I'm like, what? That's not a thing people said.
Yeah.
I already mentioned this before, but this is where those cartoon sound effects on the goons like really kick into high gear. Oh boy.
And it sounds like so, all of it's so silly.
So slapstick.
But even though like the creatures, I'm saying creatures because they really are like creatures. Like I don't know if this is that part where like they're releasing, maybe that's a little bit later, but like
when they're coming out from
yeah, I'm like, are they just like made of trash and fabric? Like I was just like, I thought
they were like roots, like underground roots. I don't know, but creatures is the best way to put it.
I guess they're more root like for sure, like organic, but they're so creepy.
They are scary. I totally and I told you the little bird thing really creeps me out too, the trollog.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's all pretty creepy. I think I can laugh past it now, but maybe when I've watched it before, like years and years ago, I was just like, ugh. And having to like have pictures of them in my collection, I'm like,
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Every child's dreams Toyland. Here you'll find the magic.
There's a part where they're back in the Toy Masters.
Once again, looking to him for help, even though he's like, I can't do anything.
But it's him who says,
there is one person who was never really a child. Life made her grow up too fast.
and I couldn't help but like immediately think that there's no way Drew didn't feel like this related to her life.
I know. The wild thing is that you can tell I was getting really checked out by this part. So I was just like, oh, I can't take this movie anymore. So I didn't really think about it, but you're so right. When you watch it with that view, it's definitely like, oh, this is sad.
Yeah. And if you look at Drew's face and think of it as Drew having these feelings, it's very interesting.
I guess life just made me grow up too fast.
We once again have like a Wizard of Oz sort of
big time.
Like, so Lisa, Drew's character, is supposed to kind of find her inner child. And
yes, I kept my teddy and I miss him.
Then you do still remember how important toys can be, Lisa. Say that you really remember, Lisa.
Remember, Lisa. Say that you remember.
Believe in the toys, Lisa. Believe in them.
And I couldn't help. It's like, there's no place like home. So it's
totally
like,
is.
You know, like that whole part is very like, come on, you have all the power inside you kind of thing.
Oh, and don't forget the Toy Master song. As soon as he started singing, I was like, oh no, this is rough. The crazy thing is like, Keanu's voice is not very good. His voice is not very good. And then once again, we get poor Drew being the one that's dubbed, just like in Everyone Says I Love You. Like hers couldn't have been that bad.
That bad, exactly.
But yeah, I was like, oh my God, another song where there's like an old man singing to little child Drew and touching her face. Like, why is this a thing that I'm noticing happened a lot in the 80s? I don't like it.
I think it's supposed to represent some kind of like, you know,
Paternal,
fatherly mother.
yeah.
Yes, exactly. Like, but it's also like,
Yeah.
But I was noticing Drew's expression during the song, and I felt like she looked genuinely sad.
Oh, she's like, I want to go get wasted, guys. I don't want to talk about how I'm not a kid. Because I'm not a kid.
Guys, this is so boring. I'm not a kid. And then, you know, she kind of is like, I am still a child. I kept my teddy bear and I miss him.
It's so weirdly formal again.
It is.
I kept Teddy.
That whole part has this both cheese and sort of real, you know, real life connection.
Yeah.
And then Drew starts the war.
I was like, it's kind of weird that this movie is ending on like guns and cannons, because here come all, she like lets all the toy soldiers out because she believes in them now.
Yes. I guess they don't even really show them shooting.
They do. That's why I was like sort of surprised. They don't show like
anybody getting hurt.
Yeah, but they show them shooting.
I mean, I've been watching Game of Thrones, so I'm a little bit like, this is like the Game of Thrones and Babes of Toyland.
Okay, so obviously good triumphs over evil, and all the creepy creatures like basically get put behind a fence and they're like banished.
Yep. Oh, they're banished to the forest of the night or whatever it's called.
So weird. So they're right there still.
Yeah.
Okay. And then of course Jack and Mary get married, which is cute. They do cute chemistry, those two.
They do. Very, very cute. I thought, I mean, they're both like adorable anyway. The Keanu and the actor Jill. Adorable.
Yeah. I was like, I didn't understand when she was walking up the aisle why he had to have his back to her. Is that a thing? I've never seen it. And he kept like trying to turn around, and Georgie's like, no, turn her. You got to keep your back to her. I was like, what?
I didn't even notice that. At one point, Drew seems to be like the flower girl and kind of a ring bearer, and the ring pillow is a cookie.
Yeah, that was cute. And I did like that she had her flower wreath. I really think that was like a sweet little touch. Finally, she's got on something a little different.
Yes. And there were a couple times where she was like adjacent. I think that there's a parade earlier where she's like by like a flower arch.
Yeah, I noticed it too.
The wreath at the end.
Yeah, that was cute.
Very cute.
And then surprise, here comes Santa. It's really the Toy Master. He was Santa all along, ? And the reindeer are wooden cutouts. Huh?
And somehow that works.
And there's two elves that don't talk. Those weird elves that the mouths don't move. That's about all the Santa kind of like, is he Santa? Like, is he? Or is he like Santa's helper? I don't get it.
I think he's supposed to be Santa.
Okay. I think so too.
I don't know. He's got a whole set of reindeer, you know, even if they are wood cutouts. He's got all the accoutrement of Santa.
You're right. He does have the red and white like Santa robes, and yeah.
Yes.
And Drew's just like, oh, okay, sure. Like there's not really, it's weird.
No question. Yeah.
And then did you notice in Toyland's crowd, there's a lion that's wearing a football jersey?
Yes.
I was like, is this more weird Cincinnati shit?
I mean, I kind of tried to do a quick search because I saw your note and I couldn't find anything that confirmed that. But I'm like, what is that toy? It's like there's just a random mascot in the
someone has to tell us if that's like Cincinnati's colors or something.
Yeah. I mean, they also, I think I mentioned this before, but they talk about baseball player Pete Rose like so many times. I think there's like 2 different moments where they're like talking about Pete Rose. And I'm like, okay, like I don't get it.
What is this?
Yes.
All right. And then, of course, we're back home. Don't worry. She's just been dreaming. I don't know. It's very Wizard of Oz again. But yeah, she's like, wakes up on the couch. They're like, oh, we're so worried about you after you flew out of a moving vehicle and hit a tree. We just had you on the couch here hoping you'd wake up.
And she looks just fine.
No medical attention.
Absolutely not.
But yeah, then it starts getting shameless, the Wizard of Oz. She's pretty much doing, and you were there, and you were there.
One other thing I wanted to compare to Wizard of Oz is the Trolog's eye is like, it has visions like the witch's crystal ball.
Oh yeah, like the villain can watch everybody through it. You're right. Oh my God.
It's just, so summary. This is Wizard of Oz on like psychedelics.
80s cocaine and really bad quality.
I mean, and it's possible dear little Drew was also
almost
cocaine.
No, just
kidding.
Just a couple months later.
Not quite
and then we end on her weird speech that like sums it all up.
Oh, Mom, the tree is so beautiful. As beautiful as all the things the Toy Master taught me.
Oh, he must be a very wise man.
He was. He taught me that it was in our hearts, that we must stay young and try to be good. And above all, we must believe. And then we'll always have a Merry Christmas and everything, won't we? Always and always and always.
Okay. What? I don't understand.
But honestly, like overall, I left at the end of the film. I was like, okay, weird as hell. I was like, I feel like I need to watch it again.
Oh boy, really? I was like, that's it. Never again. Every time I put myself through this, I'm like, why did I watch this? It's so bad. This is my grand finale for Babes in Toyland.
You're like, I've done the podcast on it.
Yeah.
Like I can put that away.
My work here, it's done.
I think I'm just like, Drew it's such a like weird point in her career.
Yes, that is this like a very good reason to watch it, because sometimes I'm like, oh my God, she's exactly how she was as a kid. Yes. And then sometimes I see like the older version of her. It is like a cool like bridge between both.
Yeah. And I think it might have been like when I thought about watching it again, it wasn't because I missed something in the storyline or felt like something needed to be clarified. It was
or
more
you
like,
need those songs again.
I mean, I do, the Cincy song really gets me going. Did we mention that her name is Lisa Cincy Watsky, or that's what the evil guys call her?
Her name's Lisa Piper. I think you did mention it already, but
okay.
The bad guy doesn't know what Cincinnati is, so he just calls her that the whole time, over and over again.
Also, I love that her name is Piper. Do they say that towards the beginning?
When she gets to Toyland, I think she says that's her name, Lisa Piper.
That's my mom's maiden name.
That's right. I'm surprised I didn't catch it.
Yeah, I didn't. I must have not been listening very closely. Okay, so let's just talk briefly about the release of this masterpiece.
Obscure masterpiece.
Yes, it aired December 19th, 1986. So basically right when we're releasing this. Right?
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. You're
Is
right.
It the same day we're releasing
it? Is. Yes, we did that again. I love it. 38 years ago.
38
That's
years ago.
Crazy.
Today, if you're listening on the day this is released, December 19th. Totally crazy.
I guess part of the reason that seems wild is because we watched on YouTube, there's an amazing, like basically Blu-ray, super high quality version. And I can't believe, like when you look at that, it doesn't look 38 years old.
No, and I can't believe that high quality thing is free on YouTube.
It's weird.
Yeah. It's weird.
We'll link to it if anybody really wants to sit through this.
Yeah, sure.
The original airing. So this is like a thing that people who saw it originally still can't get past. It was 140 minutes long, which I'm
That's
like,
2 hours and 20 minutes long.
That's too much Babes in Toyland.
Also,
I guess.
Is it a Marvel movie?
I know, right? I guess it included a lot of deleted songs. So no loss there probably. And that version has never been released. And I've seen all over the internet for years. Oh, we want the full version. So when I was listening to Jill on $2 late fee, she said that even when they were doing it, they always knew it was going to be shortened to 90 minutes for international releases. So they always knew stuff was going to get cut out. It's weird. Like, what is it? I don't understand the choice there. And she was calling it more. She said they were really calling it more of a mini series, even though it all aired in one night. Like they weren't really considering it a movie.
Maybe they were going to release it in like parts.
Yeah, maybe, but they ended up not doing that. And then they were like, wow, that was too long. We're never going to put that out again.
What a weird, this movie is just such a weird thing. Like also, of course, when you search for Babes in Toyland, it comes with like all these different versions. So this is just like one version that, it's the only one I've seen, maybe the only one I'll ever see. I don't know. Weird movie. The plot seems like it's like almost a trope.
Yeah.
To like have something happen and,
totally.
It's like you go into another
wake
universe.
Up in another world. Yeah.
But yeah, this was Babes in Toyland. If you all haven't seen it, you should definitely watch it. I think it's worthwhile. Even if you're just like, watching it while you fall asleep, might give you nightmares.
Yeah. You wake up to that prologue. No, thank you. But yeah, it is a trip. It is a weird moment in Drew's filmography. If it wasn't a Christmas movie, who knows when we would get to this one?
Yes. Yes, exactly. And the fact that like the Christmas elements of it.
Yeah, it's very small.
Yeah, it's like just the beginning. We know it's like they're Christmas shopping.
Yeah.
And then there's a Christmas tree at the end.
And then Santa. Don't forget Santa.
Oh my God.
Santa flying across the moon. Not nearly as good as E.T. flying across the moon.
Oh my God.
Those effects were rough.
I almost forgot about the effects. I'm going to stop defending this movie.
But it was still fun to talk about.
Yes, I'm glad we did it. Because like we've said before, getting the excuse to rewatch some of these movies.
Yeah. That is a really fun part of doing this podcast.
Like it is funny to be like, I'm doing research right now. Like this is important.
This is important work.
Yes. Yes.
I know. I was watching it at work. I was like, if anybody comes in here and hears this and looks at my screen, they're going to be like, what the hell are you doing?
Research.
All right. Thanks for sticking with us, guys. I hope you didn't have to watch the last part in double speed like I did with the end of Babes in Toyland. I was like, this has to end. If you had fun listening to us talk about this movie, please feel free to leave us a rating or a review. We are almost caught up with reading all the Apple Podcast reviews that we know about. So give us some new ones and we'll read yours on the air.
Yes, please.
And then, of course, as we mentioned before, you can follow us on Instagram at HowDoYouDrewPod. And then if you want to be like Drew Barrymore and engage with our other account, it's at Drewsium.
I just like zoned out for a second hearing you say that.
You went to another world. Yes. Landed in a cake.
Yes. And while you're on the internet, because we're in the modern world, make sure you visit and subscribe to our Patreon. Make sure you visit our website at howdoyoudrew.com for episode page. We'll have lots of fun behind the scenes and just really amazing stuff that you don't want to miss.
There are going to be some good photos for this one. So come check out the episode page.
Super unique. And send your listener mail to howdoyoudrewpod@gmail.com. Reach out to us on social media.
Let us know. Are you one of those people that watched this as a kid and you have nostalgia and you think it's great? Or are you with us and you're like, what the hell is this movie?
I would love to hear someone who has nostalgia and like
they exist. I've seen them out there.
Yep. It just wasn't us for whatever reason. Okay, my question to take us out today is, what's your favorite Christmas themed dessert?
Oh my God, always with the food.
I'm hungry.
Do I have one? That's kind of a weird.
Or is there like a treat that comes out, like if it's candy or something that you feel like you have at Christmas time that you like?
I don't really do it anymore, but we always used to have a jar of Hershey's Kisses. It was like a Christmas jar that only came out. I don't even remember really what it looked like. I just remember the lid had one of those, the like kind of like suction-y, like, one of those. So Hershey's Kisses, if I have those, still kind of reminds me of Christmas time.
Yeah, I feel like they have a Christmas vibe for me too.
Yeah, well, it's that famous commercial that they've been airing forever with the little Hershey's Kisses doing the "We Wish You Merry Christmas."
That might be why. That's so true. And like a kind of a bell shape, even the kisses. Like,
yeah, it's so cute.
Anyway, what is it for me? I like Andy's candies.
Oh, well, yeah. I always like those.
I know they're around all year, but I associate them with Christmas.
I associate them with Olive Garden. Is that what they give you at the end of the meal? They give you a chocolate mint. It's very Andy's like, even if it's not the same brand.
Yes, that is so funny. I thought, I also like peppermint bark. So it's like all of the different companies.
I like peppermint stuff too. All right.
Okay, now I need some candy. Okay, everyone. Merry Christmas, possibly Happy New Year.
Yeah, no, really. I don't think we'll be out again until in 2024. So thanks for being here. This was a big year for us. We got a huge amount of new listeners this year. So, wow.
I hope that it keeps just growing and next year's even bigger. So here's to 2024.
Yeah, let's do it. Thanks, everybody. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, all the good stuff.
Yes, and we'll see you next Thursday.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
She's Ohio's Maserati, Cincinnati's at the center of the
This episode of the How Do You Drew podcast was researched and produced by Ashley and Ann from thedrewseum.com with help from our sponsor, Positive Medium.
Special thanks to Matt Costa for our lovely theme song, Roxy Prima for our adorable logo, and last but not least, Drew Barrymore and all the Drewbies who love her. We do this for you.
Thank you.